Welcome to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. My name is Lydia and I am a wedding photographer based in Auckland, New Zealand. You can follow me on Instagram at Lydia Rachel Photo and the podcast at the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. Today on the podcast we have Grace. Grace and her husband got married in the far north of the North Island of New Zealand, pretty much as north as you can go nearly. And so, as you can imagine, there was a lot of logistics and bringing people in to a private property wedding where they basically built it from the ground up, bringing in marquee, toilets, you name it, everything. So it's really interesting chatting to her about how they did this. They also got into one of those really magical windows in between COVID lockdowns and were very lucky that they even had their day. So we talk about navigating that, finding vendors that can actually come to their venue, doing a lot of DIY, budget being a bit more than expected, and just navigating all of that. Grace has some great advice and I'm excited for you to hear this one. So enjoy episode 16 with Grace. Oh, hi Grace. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So to start off with, if you can just tell me a little bit about you and your partner, how you guys met and your life together.
Yeah, of course. So, kia ora, my name is Grace. I met my partner Winton when we were actually at school. So we were 17. We went to different schools, but we had a mutual friend and he had a party. And so we both went to this party, and Winton was definitely not my typical usual type back when I was 17. All my girlfriends would also vouch for that as well. So at first I wasn't super interested, but after this particular party, he added me on Facebook and we spoke and got to know each other. And the more that I got to know Winton, the more attracted I became to him, and we have been together ever since. So we will be together for 10 years in April, and together we have a 9-month-old son, and his name is Adi.
So nice. I love a little high school or around that high school time romance. And funny that it was like not your type, what you expected.
No, he definitely was far from my usual type, so it was quite funny. But now I definitely think 100% that's my type.
Yeah, so good. So can you tell me a little bit about your proposal story and how that all went down?
Yeah. So it's quite a funny proposal story. Winton had just had 2 knee reconstruction surgeries. So there was no going down on one knee like, traditionally there is. But we had actually chosen the engagement ring together. So I knew that it was going to happen. I just didn't know how and I didn't know when. So that was quite fun, actually shopping for the engagement ring together. And I think the reason why Winton wanted to do that was because he knows that I'm quite particular and he just wanted to make sure that he got it right. So we had spoken about marriage, like our whole relationship, and we knew that it was something that we wanted to do. So it wasn't like a big surprise when he suggested that we go shopping for engagement rings. So anyway, we had picked the ring, and it was 2020 and we were supposed to go up north to visit his whānau for the long weekend. It was Easter weekend. And right before that, Aotearoa went into our first lockdown. So scratch that idea, we weren't going up north. So it was actually our anniversary, our 6-year anniversary that particular weekend. And so because of lockdown and everything, we just made lunch and we had lunch in our backyard. So I didn't really think it was going to happen then. However, we had lunch and then he went into the house and he hobbled his way back out. And I thought, oh, is this it? Is it going to happen? And anyway, he sat down on the table and he kind of placed the ring box on the table and was like, so, like, are we doing this? And I was like, okay. It was typical Winton. Like, he isn't a super lovey-dovey type man, and that is so fine by me. I knew that when he did propose that it wouldn't be this big, extravagant thing, and that was so fine because that isn't us. So yeah, he asked me, I said yes, of course, and we actually live with my parents. So at the time, we came upstairs and we told my parents, and they were super excited. My dad already knew because Winton had asked my dad, which was quite nice. So we had a little celebration, just me, Winton, and my parents that night. So that was really lovely. He did tell me after the proposal that he had something planned when we went up north that weekend. But obviously we had to scratch that because we couldn't go anywhere. But it was nice. It was us. It was special and intimate given the circumstances.
Love that. Such a cute story, and nice that he just went ahead with it anyway, even, yeah, when you didn't have much control with lockdowns and stuff.
Yeah.
Cute doing it at home, a little celebration together. Love that.
Yeah.
So, when it came to your wedding, had you always been one of those girls that dreamed about your day? And yeah, did you have like a certain vision and style in mind that you wanted? And yeah, where did you start with like finding a venue, all of that?
Yeah, 100%. I was always that girl who dreamt of having this big, extravagant, beautiful wedding, walking down the aisle, the white dress, the whole shebang. That was always me. Um, and so, like I said previously, how we had always discussed that we wanted to get married, that was always on the cards. Winton had always told me that if we get married, he would like to get married up north where he's from. And over the 10 years that we've been together, we've been traveling up north so much that I have become like, I love the place. It's like it's my home as well. So I was more than happy to get married up north. I just knew that it was going to be tough because where he's from is a place called Ngātaki in Hauhora, and it's right up the top of the North Island. So it's about 40 minutes from the Cape. So we're right up north. It's about a 5-6 hour drive from Auckland. And so, yeah, I knew, okay, this is going to be tough. But we had always gone to a beach up north called Araroa Beach. It's beautiful, white sand, beautiful clear blue waters, and over top of the beach is this cliff, and there is a property on it. So we've always kind of thought, oh, that would look so lovely for a wedding to get married up there, but neither of us had been up there because it's land that's owned by the iwi up north. So Winton's Nana, she's quite big up north. Everyone knows who she is. She's got her fingers in all the pies. So we had a chat with her and we said, we like the look of this place. Can you, tee it up so we can go and have a look? And so she did. She came with us. We met with an iwi representative and we had a look at the property. You can actually hire it out to stay there. It's just a house with land, essentially. So we went and had a look, and the view from this property was amazing. Like, you can see the whole beach, you can see the water. Like, when it was sunny, we were like, yeah, this is the one. And so we actually had to have a chat with the iwi to make sure that it would be okay to have a wedding at this property, because they only hide it out for whānau members to stay. They have a few huis up there, that kind of thing. So it wasn't actually a wedding venue itself. And luckily for us, they were more than happy for us to have our wedding there. There was just a few rules. We had to respect the surrounding properties, couldn't get, too carried away, that kind of thing. So we locked that in. And then after that, I kind of just thought, okay, like, how is this all going to work? Because it wasn't a venue, I knew we had to do absolutely everything ourselves. So yeah, it was a bit daunting from that point on, to be honest.
That is ultimate DIY, doing it all, bringing
Yeah.
everything in, basically, blank canvas, which is exciting but a bit daunting logistically. Where did you go from there? What was like the most important elements or your top priorities for the day?
Yeah, so from there, it was just a lot of research on my part. Winton and I kind of sat down and had a talk about what our main priorities are and the areas that we want to spend the most money in, and the areas that we could kind of try and save and do it ourselves. The one of the main priorities for us was the food. We love our kai. We're big seafood eaters. We love having our friends and family around for food, and so that was a massive part of our day. And so we found an awesome caterer who is located in the far north, and her name is Ani from Ani's Catering. And oh, she just blew it out of the park. The food was amazing. And it was really good too because we could kind of sit down and create our own menu. So she gave us lots of different options, and we kind of chose from there. And then we suggested other things that we would like. And Winton and his whānau went diving for all the seafood. So that was really cool leading up to the day. So that was definitely really important for us. The other things that I wanted to make sure we spent money on was our photographer and videographer. Because I just think it's so important to make sure that that special day is captured. And so I did a lot of research in the far north, photographers and videographers, and unfortunately, there wasn't many available. They do have some, but it just was not kind of the vibe that we were after. So we were after a real kind of Kiwi far north summer wedding with kind of rich neutral tones, really vibrant, and a lot of the photographers that I found up there kind of didn't fit that brief. So there are photographers up there in the north. It just, yeah, wasn't our style. And so we had found an amazing photographer based here in Auckland. She did a few family shots for our whānau as well prior to the wedding, and we just loved how they turned out. So we were stoked with our choice. We had to pay for travel because she was based in Auckland. So there we knew, okay, we're going to have to spend a bit of money to get some of our vendors from Auckland or wherever they were based to the far north, because they just, yeah, the vendors in the far north didn't really fit our vibe. In saying that, our videographer, he was also based here in Auckland, so we paid for travel for him. But we had an amazing event kind of set up lady, I think you'd call it, and she is based in the far north. So her name is Nikita from Far North Events. So if anyone is having a wedding based in the north, I cannot recommend her enough. She did all of our florals, she did the setup, the tables, the marquee, everything, and it was just amazing. She really made my vision come to life. So even if I was based here in Auckland, I would want her. She was that amazing. And I was so happy to find some far north vendors because I really wanted to make sure that we were kind of, supporting local. It was just unfortunate that some of those vendors didn't quite fit our vibe.
So great for everyone to hear. And yeah, it's definitely going to be a bit more challenging in a region like that that's a bit more remote and, yeah, not as many vendors or your particular style. So that's totally understandable that you have to get people to travel, and that, yeah, you can definitely make that happen. So, yeah, and amazing that you found a local like stylist planner, you might say. So
Yeah, she was so good.
amazing. And so can you tell me a bit about your wedding outfits for the day, your dress, how you found it? Yeah, that whole process.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So when it came to wedding dress shopping, it was quite a daunting task for me because a lot of the kind of standard wedding dress samples that you can try on kind of your size 10 to 12, and I am a short curvy gal, and so I was thinking, okay, how's this going to go, because I can't fit in a size 10 to 12. So I went to 3 different bridal shops here in Auckland. The first one I went to was Trish Ping, and on their website I seen so many gorgeous gowns that I just loved, and I was like, I cannot wait to try these on. But unfortunately, my experience there wasn't the greatest because they were all too small. So some of them I could get on, but you couldn't do up, and it's not really that great for your self-esteem. Wedding dress shopping is, you in your head you think is going to be this amazing experience. You want to feel like the most beautiful bride. When you're trying on dresses that don't fit, it doesn't quite meet that expectation that you might have of wedding dress shopping. So that was quite unfortunate. However, I went to Felicity Bridal here in Auckland as well, and they had a few more range sizes, which was awesome. I then went to Rue de Seine, Rue de Shine, I'm not quite sure how you say that, and their sister brand is Made with Love Bridal, I believe it's called. And there I had an amazing experience. They had sample dresses in size 18, which was amazing because I could actually fit them. So I could fully see what the dress would actually look like on my body, rather than just kind of pulling this thing up and kind of seeing, oh, yeah, but I can't actually do it up. So that was awesome. And I tried on lots of different dresses there, and I actually went with one that I didn't think I would like. So I've heard a few ladies say the same thing. You go in with this idea of a dress that you think you'd like, and then you actually come out with something that's totally different. So that happened to me. And I knew it was the one because I actually took my brother dress shopping with me. He is just so honest. I knew he would tell me if it looked good or if it didn't. So my brother was there, my mum was there, and I walked out and they both just burst into tears. And so I was like, okay, I think this is the one, because all of the other dresses, they were like, yeah, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. But this one, they were just like, oh, wow, like this is the one. So yeah, that was amazing. I ended up choosing that dress, and because I'm so short, I had to get it altered. But in terms of the size itself, it fit like a glove. So that was really good.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that experience. There's nothing like siblings and family for brutal honesty. I know that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good for people to hear as well. I'm not a sample size either, and I know, yeah, it can be really like frustrating shopping sometimes. And for your wedding dress, you want that to be a really like enjoyable process. So yeah, I think it's super important for yeah, brands to be a lot more size inclusive these days, because everyone's body is different, and a size like 8, 10 is not actually the most like common size. So good one for brands to take away.
I agree. I was actually quite frustrated that it was so limited. I thought, in this day and
Mm,
age, at the time it was 2020, surely there would have been
yeah.
more sizes, but unfortunately that wasn't the case.
Yeah, great that you found your dream dress in the end. And is it Lovers Society, their second brand?
Oh, yes, yes, sorry, that's the one.
Yeah,
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 that's right.
yeah, that's
So
it.
the Ruta Scene's kind of like partner brand. Yeah, so it was, yeah, beautiful. You looked gorgeous in your photos.
Oh,
I'm
thank
sure
you, thank
share a
you.
few of them.
So with the bridesmaids as well, they wore a Shona Joy olive green silk dress, but because my bridesmaids are all different shapes and sizes, I just gave them the color and then said that they could choose their own design, because I knew that they wouldn't all like the same dress. Um, and so that was really nice as well. My sister was actually 8 months pregnant at the time, so she it was a bit challenging for her to try and find a dress that fit. But we found one, but it looked really nice. I liked the different styles, but the same color.
Nice. Oh, that's so good. Important for just everyone to feel comfortable on the day and yeah, get something that suits them. How did you find that choosing your bridal party? Was that easy, difficult, and yeah, who was in it?
Yeah, that was quite an easy task for me, but it was a hard task for Winton. So I knew that I wanted five. And I said, you need five too, because I'm too OCD for you to have like three and for me to have five. Like that's not going to look great in photos. So he um, was fine with that, but he has a lot of close friends and cousins. So he actually found it harder to narrow it down to five. He actually had our mutual friend who we met at his party was one of his groomsmen, which was really lovely. It was a really nice touch. For me, I knew that I wanted my sister, and then I had one of my cousins who I'm really close with, two of my best girlfriends, and one of Winton's cousins who is now one of my best friends since we met. We've just clicked, and I just knew that I wanted her up there as well. So for me, I said, yep, I knew my five. For Winton, it took him a little bit longer to narrow it down. And once he chose his five, we did a few we had like hot bottles of liquor, and then we got personalized stickers to ask the groomsmen. And then I made up these beautiful little boxes for my bridesmaids to ask them.
That's so cool to make a special moment for them. And how many guests did you have, and how was that process? Did you find it difficult narrowing it down?
Yeah, so we did find that process really difficult. Winton and I both come from really big families, and so we knew that it was going to be a hard task to narrow it down. So I think we wrote maybe 4 or 5 different wedding guest lists, and we just had to keep cutting it down. We did have to cut down again prior to the wedding because of COVID restrictions. So at the time, our wedding guest was around 125 or something like that. And it had to be 100 due to the alert levels. So that was really disappointing because we had to, again, and this was really close to the wedding, sit down and have to cut our guest list. And that was really tough because we then had to make those phone calls and say, we're really sorry, but because of COVID restriction levels, we unfortunately have had to cut our numbers. And luckily for us, our family and friends, they were so understanding. So it was fine in the end, but it was really disappointing because we couldn't actually have everyone that we wanted to be there because of the restrictions.
Oh, that's so tough. Such a awful time, and just brutal to have to do it when you've already invited someone and then uninviting. Like that was just
Like, I
horrible.
hate that. That's such a yucky feeling. But it was so out of our control, and everyone understood there wasn't anything we could do. So, yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. So can you tell us a bit about the big day, how it all went down, and yeah, any like highlights, favorite moments?
Yeah, 100%. So, because we had to do it all ourselves, we all went up the week prior to our wedding. All my whānau, Winton's whānau, and our bridal parties, we went up and we had to do it all. So, marquee, we had to do the tables, the florals, all the chairs for where the ceremony was, prep where the food was going to go. We had to hire toilets and generators. And so, as you could imagine, it was a really stressful week leading up to the wedding. And I had so many to do lists. I was ticking them off one by one. And So that process leading up to the wedding was super stressful, and I am quite a control freak, so I had to oversee everything to make sure that it was what we wanted. So wedding day, the morning of, we were actually still doing last minute bits. And so it was a bit of a stressful morning for me. Winton and his groomsmen, they stayed at another property the night before, and my bridal party stayed with me that night. And in the morning of, me and my girlfriends are busy running around trying to do last minute bits, in the middle of getting our hair and makeup done and things like that. So yeah, that was pretty crazy, to say the least. I think if you had a wedding at a venue that you could just turn up to and everything looked amazing, that would just be so much better. But at the end of the day, it was still amazing. So the morning of, my mum, she made us breakfast and we had mimosas. We got our hair and our makeup done. My whānau stayed with me that night as well, so my nephews were there, and it was just a really nice kind of whānau feeling as we were getting ready. So we got ready at the venue that the wedding was at, and the day of, we had our friends and our whānau come to the venue. I think it was about 2 in the afternoon. So we had an afternoon wedding, and it looked amazing, like the sun. It was just the perfect time to have the ceremony over the cliff looking over the beach. It was just beautiful. And so kind of everyone in my whānau had their special role except for my brother, and I was thinking I need something for him because my brother and I are super close. So he actually walked me from the venue to my dad, who was standing at the end of the aisle. And then my dad walked me from, the start to the end of the aisle to Winton. And that was really special because I feel like brothers don't usually have a role in weddings unless they are a part of the groomsmen. And my brother felt super honoured to have a special role as well. So I really enjoyed that part of the day. And another part that I just absolutely loved is my nephews and my niece walked down the aisle together as well before me. So it was so cute. Like, I had to watch on people's phones after, but my oldest 2 nephews, they had my baby nephew in this little cart and they pulled him down the aisle. And it was just so special because my nephews, my world, prior to having my baby. They were my babies. And so I really wanted them to be a big part of the day. So it was lovely. It was a real relaxed feel, even though it was super stressful leading up to the day. It's funny how you're kind of so stressed, and then on the day well, for me anyway, this was my experience, I kind of just let all that stress go. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, if something goes wrong, it goes wrong. If it doesn't go to plan, it doesn't go to plan. Like, it is what it is. You've just got to roll with it. And so when my mind kind of shifted to become more relaxed, then I felt like I fully enjoyed the day. But definitely leading up to it, all the stress of the planning and making sure everything was great, it was quite a daunting, overwhelming task. So I'm glad that the day itself actually ran really smoothly.
Oh, sounds like it was amazing. And yes, totally understandable. Just like doing so much for that yourself is quite stressful. But yeah, you've mentioned a few things already, but what did you find hardest about the wedding planning process? And yeah, is there anything you look back on and regret or would do a bit differently?
Yeah, 100%. I think the hardest part was definitely having to do absolutely everything ourselves. Everything. Like I mentioned before, even having to get toilets and a generator for power. Um, but I knew that it was going to be hard because it was in the far north, in the middle of nowhere. So I did know that it was going to be hard. If I would ever do it again, not meaning get married to someone else, but for example, renew our vows, I would definitely want to go to a venue that just had it all ready to go. because that would be a lot less stressful, but that's okay. Even though it was this daunting and overwhelming task, I still really enjoyed the process of planning. It was super fun. I feel like I would delegate more if I did it again, because like I said previously, I'm such a control freak. And so I just felt like I needed to do everything myself. But I know that my whānau and my friends would have been more than happy to help. So I think knowing that I don't have to do it all and I could delegate, I should have done that. I should have utilized the help a lot more. So yeah, I'd definitely kind of do that a bit differently if we had to do it again.
That is great advice, and so common to just try and hold on to everything. But people want to help with the wedding and they're happy to volunteer their time. So, yeah, great if you can get them involved.
Definitely.
Yeah, logistically, like difficult, but such a unique and special spot as well, which I don't know if anyone had been married there before, but yeah, the views and everything looked incredible.
Yeah, so they had a wedding or two before, but it was definitely nothing like ours was. Um, they absolutely loved what we did with the day, to the point that they are now offering it as a wedding venue. I said to Winton's Nana, where's my commission? Because they seen what the space was capable of and now they're utilizing it. And I was like, oh, if only they had done this prior, it would have been a lot easier, because now, from my understanding, they're offering like kind of package deals. So with the marquee, the table, toilets, power, everything as a deal. So I'm like, wow, you couldn't have done that prior to our wedding? Make my life easier.
Oh, you gave them the push. Love that. So lucky that you got a sunny day as well. I know we had, well, especially last summer, a lot of rain. And even though they call it the winterless north, there was, yeah, it hasn't been the best in the last season. So
Super, super lucky with the weather. And we were also super lucky with the COVID alert levels as well, because at the time, Auckland and the North were in the red. And so there was a time there that we were like, oh my gosh, are we going to have to postpone? And we didn't have a plan B. Everything had been paid for. I know it was silly, we didn't have a plan B, but I just put it out to the universe that it was going to happen. So it was a few days prior to the wedding, we went into Orange. And so that meant we could still have our wedding and our friends and whānau could travel to the north. We had the wedding on the Saturday, beautiful day. The next day was the Sunday and it was overcast, really yucky weather. And then Northland and Auckland went back into red. So we had just scraped through by a day to have our wedding. Like, we were so lucky. So, so lucky.
crazy. You just really got
Yeah.
into one of those little windows of, yeah, such a chaotic couple of years.
Really feel for couples who were planning weddings during that time and who had to postpone. And like, even for us, I had booked a makeup artist who was based in the north, and she unfortunately had to cancel our booking because one of her other COVID brides had to postpone their wedding and they had chosen our date. And so, there was lots of things like that which were really unfortunate. So given that some couples couldn't actually have their day, I do feel really lucky that we scraped through and could have ours.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you guys have a budget that you were working towards? If you're happy to talk about that, even a ballpark figure, and yeah, did you end up sticking to that or spending more?
Yeah, 100%. I'm happy to talk about that. So I think when you go into planning a wedding, you have no idea how much things are going to cost. So at first, we said, oh yeah, 10,000. 10,000 is a lot of money. Surely we can have our beautiful dream day. When we started to research, we started to get quotes from different vendors. We were like, wow, 10,000 isn't going to cut it. And it was actually really surprising to find out how expensive everything is. I also think when you put the word wedding on anything, I feel like it ups the price with just about everything. And so in the end, I think we spent around 45,000 roughly. I kind of stopped doing the figures at a point because it was so overwhelming. And I also didn't really want to tell Winton how much I was spending on things. Yeah, I think that was how much it cost. I also think that's kind of standard with weddings these days, around that kind of figure. But yeah, we really had high hopes and dreams that we would have it for 10,000, but that was just not going to happen with the vibe that we were after. I definitely think you can do it on 10,000 for sure. But yeah, it wasn't, yeah, unfortunately enough for what we wanted.
Yeah, fair enough. That is, yeah, pretty standard these days. And yeah, especially for that amount of guests. And then even the whole DIY, you think, oh, it'll be cheaper, we'll just do it ourselves. But yeah, it actually ends up being as much as or more than a venue sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And also, Winton is a builder. So a lot of the things we were like, oh, yeah, we can just do that ourselves. But because of COVID and everything, like timber was expensive, nails were expensive. So every little thing ended up, adding up, and it was quite a lot. And so unfortunately, it just, even though it was DIY, it still cost a lot.
Did you guys go on the honeymoon straight away? I mean, I don't know if you could have with the alert levels, but yeah, what did planning that look like if you've done anything since?
No, so we didn't. Good old COVID got in the way of that. And also, we had just spent like every last cent on this wedding. So that wasn't important to us. We did go on like a baby moon when I was about 25 weeks pregnant. So we kind of called that our kind of honeymoon, baby moon. That was to Fiji in September last year. And that was beautiful. It was so nice and relaxing. So we did get to celebrate. It was just, yeah, a little bit after the wedding, which was fine.
Nice. Oh, that's so good. And did you find there were any like helpful websites or resources that you used during your wedding planning? Yeah, with finding vendors and all of that?
Yeah, I think Instagram and Pinterest were my two top tools that I used with researching. My feed was just wedding everything. I had a Pinterest board. I was also writing down, like, I loved pen and paper. So I was writing down all different ideas, had a bit of a mood board going on. And so, yeah, Instagram, Pinterest. I also joined the Facebook group. I think it's called like New Zealand Wedding Discussions or something like that. So that was super helpful too, because I got different ideas, lots of different vendors on there, and then just word of mouth. So we were actually the first couple in our group of friends to get married. And so it was a bit hard because I couldn't really rely on friends because I hadn't been to any weddings to kind of see. But a lot of my family and family friends have gotten married. So I spoke to them to get different ideas. One of my really good friends is a photographer, so she's kind of in the know. So I also asked her as well. And yes, so that's kind of what I use. I also, I just wanted to have a quick chat about my celebrant before I forget. So she was a recommendation from one of my cousins, and she said, yeah, check her out. So celebrants in the far north were once again not really our vibe. We wanted someone who was kind of, modern and young and fun. And the few celebrants that we were recommended didn't quite fit the brief. So it was like, oh no, okay, we're going to also have to pay for travel for our celebrant. We need to find one. And I came across Sammy, and she was amazing. Like, we had an interview with her over Zoom, and straight away we just clicked, and it was so our vibe. Like, we wanted it to be fun and there to be laughter and kind of, tell a story. We didn't want it to be super traditional. And she just, again, hit it out of the park. She was so amazing. She's actually based in Mount Maunganui. So if anyone's getting married down there, I definitely recommend her. She does travel, but if you want someone young and fun, Sammy was amazing.
Oh, so good to hear. And yeah, really important to get someone that you click with, I think, especially for that role. Like it's quite a presence on the day, and yeah, you want that ceremony to be reflecting you guys. So
Yeah,
love
a
that.
100%. Yep, she was awesome.
And is there any advice that you would give to couples that are planning their wedding at the moment?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about this, and a piece of advice that I was given, which I think is amazing, is to make sure that you and your new husband or wife make sure that you take some time out of the madness of the day to kind of just sit down together, just the two of you, and reflect on the day that was. Because I think you get so caught up in the madness of the day that you kind of don't actually spend a lot of time with your new husband and wife because you're talking to everyone, everyone wants your attention, you're doing speeches and you're doing pictures, and you don't actually get quality time with the person that you just married. Take some time, even if it's 5 minutes, with your new husband or wife, and just think like, wow, we did this, we pulled it off, and wasn't that an amazing day? So I was actually told that, and Winton and I did exactly that, and it was one of my favorite parts of the day.
Incredible. That's such great advice. Yeah, I really love that. So important.
Yeah, it sure is.
What is married life like now? Do you feel like after the wedding you got kind of post wedding blues or anything like that?
Yeah, married life now is crazy because we have a baby. I definitely got the post-wedding blues. That was all my spare time, was just researching and ordering things and all my different lists, which was just wedding, wedding, wedding. And so after the wedding, I did kind of think, okay, now what do I do with my spare time? But then I just put that time and effort into trying for a baby. Yeah, so not long after we got married, we were lucky enough to fall pregnant. So since married life, it's just been go, go, go with our son. Yeah.
Oh, so great. And yeah, is there anything else you want to add for people that are engaged or any wisdom from your time being married, marriage advice for people?
Um, I just think that I'm sure so many people say this, but communication is everything. Winton and I have been together for so long, and we went through, teenage, being teenagers together, young adults, and now parents. We've been through so many different stages of life together. And I think, yeah, just being able to communicate is so, so important, and just making sure that you make that quality time for each other. It's since we've become parents, it's been even harder to make sure that we are taking time for the two of us. So yeah, communication is key. I also look at my own parents, and they've been married for 32 years, as inspiration. And that's what my parents always talk about, is communication. So yeah, that's probably my key advice, but also, don't take it from me. Every relationship is so, so different. And, some are great at communication and others not so much. But yeah, that seems to work for us.
Amazing. That's great advice. So valuable for everyone listening. Cool. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been so great to chat.
Thanks so much for having me. That was really fun, especially because I haven't really reflected on the day in a while. So yeah, I quite enjoyed that.